What's up, YouTube? How's everybody doing? I hope everybody's doing great. I missed you guys. Hey, listen, I want to apologize. I was going to come out with this video earlier, but I couldn't because I got sick. So again, I'm so sorry. And if you hear me coughing in this video, I'm still getting over what I had. So again, I'm so sorry. But first and foremost, I also want to thank everyone for all your support. I've been getting a ton of subscribers lately, so thank you so much for that. And thank you for all my long-term subscribers, and also want to thank everybody for their really nice words, their kind words. You guys, I love you guys. You guys are the best, and you guys are the reason why I keep making these videos. So thank you so much, and keep them coming. I love it, guys. I try to get back to you as best as I possibly can, but I do have a life outside of this. I'm still a full-time worker. I have my son that I'm with all the time, so it's hard to get time to make the videos. And then on top of that, I got sick. So again, I apologize. But anyways, guys, without further ado, let's get right into it. We have the S95C by Samsung all the way on the left. We have the Sony A95L right there in the middle. And then we have the LG G3 all the way to the right. And they are all in a 77-inch size. As you guys can see, they're all the same size there. And what we are doing is a very highly requested video, which is it's kind of like a 2-in-1 actually. We're going to be doing a low bit stream video here, how these TVs handle low bit streaming and how they also upscale. So we are right currently on Netflix, and we are going to be comparing this the movie Man of Steel, Superman Man of Steel from 2013, and this is an HD movie right here. So just to let you guys know, as far as what their settings are, all three TVs are in their respective accurate presets. So the Sony A95L is going to be in professional, and both the Samsung and the LG G3 are in filmmaker mode. So just want to get that out the way, and also want to let you know just briefly what the settings are on each TV. I'm not going to show you because it's going to take too long, but you guys just got to take my word for it. So on the S95C, brightness is on 50, contrast is on 50, sharpness is on 10. I had to put the sharpness up more than I usually do, only because when you're watching SDR or HD content, you have to just put it up there, put the sharpness up a little bit more. Color is 30. Color tone is warm too. Of course, your gamma is at 1886. It just kind of automatically kind of puts you there. Shadow details I kept at 0 for this comparison, but I do mess around with that quite frequently with the S95C depending on the content. Color space obviously is going to be on auto, which defaults to Rec 709, kind of just locks you in on that too. Peak brightness is on high, contrast enhancer is off. On the A95L, we have brightness on 50, contrast on 50, black levels on 50, so that's kind of all by default. In the way I do my settings, contrast enhancer is off, peak luminance is on high, color is on 55. Live color I do have off. I am on expert 1. Sharpness is on 20. Reality creation is on, and I kept it on auto. Color space, of course, is on auto, which defaults to Rec 709. Excuse me. And also, HDR is on auto, which kind of doesn't matter at this point anyways, as we are watching an HD movie. And then smooth gradation is on is on low. The LG G3 brightness is on 100, contrast is on 85, black level is 50, auto dynamic contrast is off, peak brightness is on high, gamma of course 1886, color is at 50, color gamma is on auto, and color temperature is warm 50, sharpness is 20, and then smooth gradation is also on low. So now that you guys know the settings, I think the All three TVs look great. I'm going to try to keep this as short as possible because you really can't go wrong with all three of these TVs. So long story short, it's really just going to be coming down to your own personal preference. As you guys can see, I wanted to start off in this particular scene right here because it's a great scene that shows specular highlights and what these TVs can do when they upscale an HD an HD image and make it look as close to 4K as possible. Now, you guys can see there's not really anything to complain about with any of these three TVs. What I will say is that the S95C, I do feel has the hardest time staying the brightest out of all three TVs, but that doesn't mean it's a total negative thing because as you guys can see, even though it is the darkest, it has the best shadow details and it has the best specular highlight details as well. It's just doing it right. It's killing it right now. And I mean, just look at how perfect the image looks right now on the S95C. Now, with the A95L, although it can get the brightest, as you can tell, it can wash out the picture at times. And this is a perfect example of that because right now you cannot see it as much color in the A95L like you can on the S95C. Now, the G3 all the way to the right is a nice happy medium. It is a little bit brighter than the S95C, does not have as much shadow detail because of that reason, but the specular highlights still do look good. So you can tone all those things and fine tune all those things on each TV if you like. I'm just letting you guys know this is basically what I'm seeing as we speak right now. Now, let me just tell you guys as well is you can get a warmer color on the G3 if you want to. I have it on warm 50, but there's other things you can do to get it warmer. But as you guys can tell, all three TVs look good. I would probably say it'd be between, for me, the S95C or the G3 in this particular scene right here, just because the way the specular highlights are just killing it right now and the shadow details right now, the S95C is definitely up there, even though it's not the brightest. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and kind of cut in. All right, so let me bring this down. Sorry, guys. All right. So now, oops. I kind of want to just go over some skin tones here. All right. So let's talk about skin tones. So this is when I feel like the S95C kind of struggles a little bit because as you guys can see, when things get a little bit on the dimmer side and then skin tones are involved, the S95C just has a hard time keeping up. Like if you look at the A95L, for example, I mean, his skin looks natural to me. I don't know if you guys can see the way I'm seeing it. And I just feel like that the G3 and the A95L look the best. You can kind of tell that on the S95C, it just looks dim, looks kind of dull. They're not a lifelike skin tone to me. And that's just what I'm seeing right there. With the A95L, you got more brightness. Maybe it can wash out his skin tone a little bit. I do notice that in skin tones, I feel like the G3 kind of generally looks overall the best in certain scenes. But when it comes to like bright scenes and certain skin tones, the A95L can also look better too. Like especially with the darker skin tones, I definitely think darker skin tones, the A95L does the best out of all three TVs by far, because it can maintain the details the best and it can also look the most natural on top of that. So it just, to me, especially with the darker skin tones, it looks terrific. I love it. So anyways, I'm going to go ahead and skip down to another scene here. Excuse me. All right, let's see here. Oh, sorry. All right. So the reason why I liked this particular scene right here is because this scene has a lot of like explosions, a lot of action going on, and it's a bright scene. And this particular scene right here, if you guys look really close, you can see that there's more detail in the A95L. The reason why I say that is because when you actually look at the colors in this particular scene, they are the brightest without losing detail, is what I mean. So my point is that the S95C has a lot of detail too, but it has to stay dark to show that detail. The A95L does not have to do that. The G3 has a lot of detail as well, and it is a good happy medium, although it is still not showing as much detail as the A95L. So I'm a little bit of a sucker for detail. I know there's a lot of people who maybe might not prioritize detail like I do, but it is definitely something for me that the more detail a TV can show, then the more high end or the better the processor is. And that's just something that's, you know, has always been something that I personally thought, because I just feel like the more it's kind of like a taking a picture, the more the camera can take in detail, the better the camera. So that's just how I see it. But anyways, the one thing I do like about the G3 right here is that if you actually look, you can see it just has that a more of a 3D pop to it. And that's something that's going to be consistent with a lot of these comparisons, is that 3D pop, guys. I don't know how else to explain it. I really, really don't. But we are watching an HD movie where you can't even turn on dynamic tone mapping, or you can't even turn on any type of tone mapping, basically. There might be some internal tone mapping going on that we don't see on our end. I doubt it. But even if they're, regardless of whatever it is, you know, a lot of people always said, well, you know, the G3 only has that 3D pop because of dynamic tone mapping and this and that. And guys, I've had LGs for years now, before dynamic tone mapping was even a thing. And I can tell you, their OLEDs have always had that 3D pop to them, just by default. It's LG's kind of like signature move. It's their secret sauce. I don't know how they do it, but they do it, and they do it the best. That's just that. And this right here is another example of how darn good that 3D pop is right there. It literally looks like it's sticking out of the screen, this image right here. And again, we are in HD. So, sorry, let me go ahead and, all right. Okay, so let's move on. All right, this is a good scene. All right, so this right here is when, to me, the A95L is just killing it, because it has the best color, on top of that being the brightest. Yeah, I mean, you're kind of blowing out some details in the background, it looks like, but I think in person is not as bad. My camera, I think, is just kind of blowing it out a little bit here. But anyways, color wise, it just looks the best, and that's as far as I can really go now. Skin tone wise is going to be struggling, as you guys can see, but that's just my personal opinion. All right, so now Let's go ahead into another scene here. All right, right here. So the reason why I picked this scene right here, it's a little bit of a darker scene, but with a lot of details. And the G3 again just stands out to me. All right, it's not dim like the S95C. It's not too bright like the A95L. And it has the best detail in this particular image right here. It just looks fantastic. And again, guys, they all equally do the same job as far as how they upscale it. I mean, you know, the upscaling processing to me is the same. It's just the colors and the way it handles details through the processing is different. So they all basically resolution wise look the same to me. I don't really see a big difference as far as quality goes in resolution, but what I do see is more detail in the image. And that is right now the G3. The G3 just looks so good. Like you can see the imperfections the best in this image. The color looks just amazing. Now, the A95L also looks extremely good. I just think for my personal taste, I like the way the G3 looks in this particular image. All right, so now let's go ahead and move forward. All right, now this scene right here, I think it's this one. Yep, this one. All right. So there's a lot of times where at first glance, a lot of the images look the same too. But again, this is another example of when the S95C just struggles to be bright. So like a lot of times when you're watching, you don't pause the TVs, the image like as frequently as you do when we're doing these comparisons. So at first glance, and when the scenes just keep cutting through and cutting through, you're not really noticing as much as you do when you stop the image like this. But what you do notice throughout just letting the movie play on is that the S95C tends to really just be the most dim out of all of them, which is the least pleasing in my personal opinion. So this particular scene, I think, really exemplifies that. Basically, is a good example of that because um, scenes like this, where you're really looking for the image to kind of pop, the S95C kind of struggles there. There's not a lot of specular highlights, and that's why. And this is just something that I really just wanted to point out. But as you guys can see, it's up to you when it comes down to what you personally like. You could very much or very well prefer the S95C. But again, the A95L just has that brightness to it. The G3, although it's not as bright, still looks on point, and looks very good. And it's just all about preference right there. What do you guys think? All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and move to the next scene. We're gonna try to move forward a little bit over here. All right. Excuse me, guys. All right, here we go. All right, let's keep going right here. All right, so now I'm gonna try to go back to this part here and see if maybe I can catch that explosion. Actually, let's just keep cutting because I don't want to take too much time. So anyways, we're going to go ahead and move forward. All right, let's go here. All right, so here we go. So this particular scene right here has a lot of smoke, a lot of clouds, and a lot of specular highlights, as you can tell. Now, at first glance, they look pretty equal. In person, they definitely look pretty equal. I just got to give it again to the G3. The G3 just has that more of that 3D pop to it, and it looks like it's just handling the picture the best in this particular scene right here. And although you may say, okay, well, you know, the S95C has the most shadow detail or details in the specular highlights, which I think it actually does. It's still a little too dim in my personal opinion in this particular scene right here. The A95L is a good happy medium. You get a lot of details, you get a lot of specular highlights. That 3D pop you just don't get as much, but it still looks terrific. Again, that's just a personal opinion of mine. So we're going to go ahead and move forward. And we are going to try to find a scene that has more color. All right, so we're getting close. All right, so what I want to do is stop it on this scene. This scene was hilarious, by the way. But you guys can see the blacks are definitely nice and black on the S95C. The A95L definitely has the most detail and color. The G3 is right up there neck and neck with it, with the A95L. You really can't even tell too much of a difference in this particular scene right here. It's just, again, as my point of before, the S95C can still look the most dim, and sometimes it just kind of dulls it out. So it's just, again, a personal preference thing, but there you go. Now we're going to go ahead and move forward. I'm going to probably do a couple more scenes here, guys, and then I'm going to let you go. All right, so now let's go ahead and stop it. Or we're going to go here, and I want to stop it right here. I know I keep talking about skin tones, but if you look at the background of this particular image right here, you're going to notice that the S95C will be the most dim overall, but you're also going to notice that the G3 is not as light or bright as the A95L, but still is able to maintain a better skin tone than the A95L. I've always felt like Sony had a little bit of a struggle in lighter skin tones. And this is a perfect example of that right there. Because no matter what you do, it just seems like a lot of times, although you will see a lot of details in the skin tones, it can still a lot of times make it look either a little bit too light or a little bit too pale, or, you know, things like that. But again, the Sony A95L is still my favorite TV out of all of them. And I think it's probably because when it comes to HDR content, I think I'm really digging it the most, and that's what I primarily watch when I'm watching content. But gaming and then obviously upscaling are completely different territories of preference as well. So others might prioritize what the TVs can do when they upscale or when it comes to low bit streaming. Others may prioritize purchasing one of these TVs based off of what they can do through gaming and what they can do watching HDR content or 4K UHD content, or how they perform when you put a 4K UHD disc in a DVD player. So everyone's different, but anyways, I hope you guys are enjoying this video, and I hope it's helpful. Now let's go to another scene, and this is probably going to be my last scene here, guys, and I'll wrap it up. All right. Now this scene, I'm going to do a close-up because I want to show you guys something, but all right, so let's stop it here. See, this right here is when the A95L just really kills it for me, meaning that it just does the best. It's not, the colors are just right, and it's not washed out, and the details are just fine. Like, they just look so darn good. And this is what makes Sony Sony. They know how to really make a picture just pop, and they just do it so wisely. And it's kind of like how the LG G3 has their own way of doing their own image, where it just has that phenomenal 3D pop. Sony has their own way of just making their image pop in detail. And if you look at the mountains, if you look at the ground, or it just looks so good. So colors, especially in reds with QD OLEDs, just look good, and Sony just does it the best to me. But anyways, that's my personal opinion on that one. And then let's go ahead. Excuse me. I just want to get to another scene here. And this is where I want to do a close-up on this scene right here. All right, so I want to stop it right here. All right. So, I mean, look how good the whites look on the QD OLED on the A95L. Again, the S95C just has that dimness to it that I'm just not a fan of. It makes the picture look soft a lot of times, especially in scenes like this. But look at the blue on the A95L. I mean, look at how freaking amazing that suit looks on the A95L. It's ridiculous. And then this is what people don't understand. Or a lot of people who just hate on the Sony. The picture that you're looking at right now is the picture that you're seeing in real life. It is truly amazing. And this is just in HD and in upscaling and streaming in low bit content. So now don't get me wrong. I know you can fine tune any of these TVs as much as you want, but if you just kind of take a look at what you're seeing right now, this is what Sony can do that the other TVs cannot. They can make that Superman suit look at a different level that no other TV can do. And I'm going to do a close-up here, and I'm going to show you, and then I'm going to wrap it up. But anyways, all right. So let's grab the camera. All right, so now we're looking at his suit. We're going to look at his arm, or his shoulder right here. Look at the definition. You got a lot of detail, right? On the LG G3. Now, let's take that to the A95L and look at that. Oh, sorry. Gonna have to grab my camera again. I mean my remote. Apologize. Okay. Now, back to the LG G3. Lots of detail. It looks very good. I don't know why it keeps doing that. Sorry, guys. Apologize. All right. Look at that. It's just crazy. Now that is what the Sony A95L can do. Right there. It's amazing. And the S95C, just for comparison, it just can't get to that level of detail. It's a great TV, but I found in SDR, HD, HDR, upscaling, in 4K, it just can't get to that level with the S95C. The closest it can get to any kind of detail is when you're gaming. But look. And that's pretty much what I wanted to make my point. See, it's easier to be able to see it when you're close up. You know, when I'm backing up and you're looking at 3 TVs from a distance, you can't see these things because you're further away. And then if I zoom in, it won't look as good. So, you know, that's my take on it. But again, guys, I want to thank you guys for all your support. I want to thank you guys for, you know, just hanging in there with me. And I also want to thank all of you guys for sticking through with me. And I will see you on the next one. Just let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear it, and I'd love to hear all your comments. And again, thank you, and see you on